I guess I'm live. It's been a minute, hasn't it, nonprofit family? It is so excellent to be back from a sabbatical, be in our new house, and having the bathroom remodeled above my head. So, apologies in advance if there are construction noises, because there's certainly construction going on right here. Happy Friday to everyone. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about a sabbatical that I just got back from. I was gone for the entire month of September. And those of us who work inside or alongside nonprofit organizations really understand how equal parts rewarding and draining our work on the daily can be. I don't care what your role is. I don't care what your organization's mission is, how many people on your team, your budget. At the end of the day, we are tired. And I was very tired, to be totally honest with you. I was running on fumes. So I thought a great live session to sort of re-kick off our Friday lives would be to talk about staying balanced, whether you can take a sabbatical or not, and some tips for you if you do want to try to take more than a week off. It is absolutely possible, and I've got some advice for you. So I typed up a bunch of notes. Without any further ado, let's get into it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Maureen. I'm a nonprofit digital strategist and technology coach. I'm based out on the Cape in Massachusetts, and I help nonprofit organizations and teams make really smart decisions about the technology that they use to communicate with their supporters, grow their fundraising programs, and even stay connected internally. So we can have all the tools in the world, but we might not be using them effectively. And when it's time to look for new systems, whether it's a replacement or something brand new, it's a jungle out there. So that is my focus. I've been working with nonprofits since 1990, so really long time, and I really enjoy what I do, which made it equal parts exciting and challenging to figure out how to get out of here for a month, for a 4-week sabbatical, no fooling, unplugged. So a little bit about me is, if you don't know me, I'm pretty high energy. I really like being busy. I love my clients. I love technology. I love software partners. I love teaching, do a lot of teaching and training and webinars. And I'm kind of at my core a helper, which I think is the genetic makeup of everyone who works either inside or alongside a nonprofit organization. I really like making things better, solving problems, stuff like that. And so, as I said, by the time last year rolled around, I was on fumes. And again, that's sort of hard for me to admit, because I've got this reputation of like, when do you need it? And, hitting all my deadlines and always being available. And I think that's the key to working at a nonprofit, is we feel like we are on all the time. We feel like we are available 24/7, even if we don't want to be. Our cultures often require that of us. And I kind of took that and ran with it for many, many years, just being available. How can I help? I got that. It's kind of like my motto. But, after years of this, I had no energy left at the end of the day for very much, other than like plopping on the couch and watching television, chatting with my partner, stuff like that. I just was putting all of my energy into work. Sound familiar? I bet that it does. One thing that I just read is that our brains use 20% of our energy just to keep the machine rolling. And when you're doing deep thinking or problem solving or working many hours, the brain drain and the drain on your whole self is real. There's no way around it. It is a phenomenon, a physical phenomenon, to be literally out of gas and have your brain not have enough energy or the right amount of energy to actually think at your highest capacity, be sort of on top of your game all the time. So that stuff for many years, plus the pandemic, the state of our country and the world, it is no wonder that I was completely out of gas. So here's what I did. If you want to know what I did to take a month off, this is what happened. I planned it a full year in advance. September, October of 2021, I got really serious and stopped just saying, oh man, I wish I could take an extended period of a break for myself, and put it into action. So I said, darn it, in 2022, I'm going to do it. So I planned it out about 14 months ahead of time for myself, for clients, for business partners. It was the right thing to do. And then in January, like right after everybody gets back from New Year's, I told all of my clients about it in advance. In meetings with them, I did not do it in an email. I actually had conversations with folks and said, I need to let you know I'm taking a sabbatical in September. And we're going to work this year to make sure that my not being here doesn't have any impact on you whatsoever. Some of these clients I knew I'd be finished with their projects by the time September of 22 rolled around, and other more regular, long-standing client relationships, I needed to be very, very careful of making sure that my being away was not going to be problematic for them. It was just the right thing to do. So I told everybody in January. And then as I met prospective clients or opportunities were presented to me to do trainings or other marketing type stuff that I do, I was very clear, like, not going to be here in September. And what I'll say is that quite a few of clients who were not working with me yet earlier in the year were wonderful. They said, well, can we get a little bit started and we'll do our homework while you're away? Or, I'm going to be flexible in my timeline because I think working with you will really be beneficial. So shout out to all the clients that I have been working with or will work with or am continuing to work with for their flexibility, because I really felt like they wanted me to take that break. They really wanted me to be able to get the time and space that I needed to do a good job at my job. So shout out to all those clients. And then I stuck to it. I literally stuck to it. It wasn't like it's the only thing I thought about for 8 months before September 1st rolled around, but I definitely kept it at the top of my mind as a non-negotiable. Like I sort of pretended that I was going out of the country, and I have plans. I didn't go out of the country, but I have firm plans that cannot be broken. Now, as a solo consultant, it's both kind of a blessing and a curse to plan something like this, because on the one hand, I don't have to ask permission of anybody. I ask permission of my clients, of course, and my partners, but I didn't have to go asking the VP and the president and the hoo-ha, can I take this month off? So I just gave myself permission. But on the flip side of that, being a solo consultant, I don't have a lot of backup. So if something happens and I am not available, there's nobody else to pick up the slack for me. It's either me or it sits and waits. And that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but again, my clients were so awesome, so awesome. So I stuck to it. I stuck to my guns. Here are a couple good things that I noticed that came out of this luxurious 4 weeks off in a row. I did check my email twice a week. I checked my email on Tuesdays and on Fridays, just so there would be no unpleasant surprises, that if something was blowing up somewhere, that at least I knew about it. And if it was absolutely required, I would be able to just send a reply. Didn't happen, didn't need to respond to anything, but twice a week I did take a look. Um, and the big takeaway for me was that I was really able to direct and control how I spent my time. Our time as autonomous adults is not always autonomous. We have a lot of responsibilities and commitments and contractual obligations or parental obligations or obligations with your family or places that you volunteer that make it really hard to say, I have time and I get to be the driver of how I use that time. There were still things that had to be done for sure, but this gave me much more flexibility of deciding when I felt like doing something instead of, man, the only time I have to mow the lawn is at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And if I don't get to it, it's going to be another week before I can mow my grass. So that was number one, ownership and autonomy of my time. Number two was I was able to get outside every single day, whether it rained, whether it was beautiful or hot or cold or windy or crappy. I got outside for at least an hour, usually 4 hours at a stretch, every single day while I was out. I got out of the house and I moved around in the fresh air. This has really been woefully missing from my general Monday through Friday groove because I am a remote worker, as you can tell, right? This is my home office. And days can go by, especially if the weather's not great, when I'm literally here all the time. Wrap it up at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Unless there's an errand I need to run because I'm an empty nester, I don't have a lot of demands on my personal time, which means that it is very, very easy for me to stay close to home for days at a time. And that's not good. That's not good for me. That's not good for you. That's not good for any of us. So walking outside, driving away from the house, taking a walk or hiking or sitting somewhere and reading or thinking was much easier for me to do. And I have to remember to continue doing that. It's the first week back now. It's Friday. I've been back for 5 days and I'm feeling like I'm letting myself go back into that sticking around the home base pattern. So I've got to book time for myself in my calendar to actually get up and get out for a couple of hours a day. Here's what was interesting. I've never taken this much time off. Maternity leave was many years ago, and that was not what I would call a sabbatical. For those of us who've taken parental leave, you are not relaxing. But it took me about 10 days to actually settle my brain, to feel like I wasn't still humming along at an above average sort of energy level. It took me, about a week and a half, I think, to sort of go, okay, I don't have to work tomorrow. I can actually lean into this time a little bit more and not be worried that it's going to end tomorrow. I will tell you, I was not bored. While I certainly had plans and things that I wanted to do and stuff that just kind of popped up that I thought was fun to do, I was able to fit things into my calendar and not be over scheduled, not feel like I was running from place to place or, needing to say no to some things. I was not bored for one single minute. There was not one day where I was like, oh, I miss my project work. Theoretically, I love my work for sure and love the people that I work with, but it was really nice not to feel that sense of urgency that I think most of us, or at least many of us, feel pretty regularly. I was able to use my brain creatively again. That was one thing that I was watching my gas tank go down over the past year or so, really since the pandemic started. Worrying about public health, worrying about the health of people that I love, keeping us safe and all of that stuff, watching things play out in the world due to COVID-19. My creativity dial was way, way low. And so this extended 4-week period away from the office really let me start to think creatively again, which is not only going to benefit me because I enjoy it, I'm going to be able to think more creatively when I'm working with clients and doing solutions and problem solving. So win-win on that one. It's definitely going to take some discipline for me to be able to maintain a good work-life balance. This kind of stuff is an inside job. And I bet those of you who are watching this either live or recorded are nodding some level of recognition. Like I'm work-life balance, that's a fantasy. What is that? Unless we're going to advocate for ourselves, no one's really going to give it to us. Even the most well-intentioned open PTO policy organizations still place a lot of demands on us as staff or partners. And, we have to put ourselves in the mix somewhere. Nobody else is going to do that for us. I want to wrap this up, this unusual live session today, with some tips for how you can do it yourself. It is absolutely possible. I've been to the promised land. I've come back to work. Everybody was really glad to see me. I was ready to come back on Monday and log in. Maybe there was a little minute of, it would be nice to not have to work. That's not anybody's reality. So work is what we have to do. Tell yourself that it's possible. The stories that we tell ourselves about our work, our roles, our responsibilities, our internal stories about how much we're needed. Nobody can step in for us. I'm going to leave a bunch of work for my teammates, or nobody else knows how to do this. These are not true. It's one worldview, but it's actually not an accurate statement. If you won the lottery tomorrow, you'd probably leave your full-time job. You might leave them with a nice chunky donation, but you would split and you'd do other things with your time. And if a life event meant that you couldn't work, or if unfortunately your organization had downsizing or layoffs, or your organization closed, if the organization still existed and you weren't able to work, the work would get done. People would figure it out. So remove that excuse, behave as if. It's possible for you to take this time off. It's necessary for you to take time off. That's the first thing. The second thing is plan this 12 to 14 months ahead of time. This would not have worked. People would have been upset with me if I had kept this news or this plan to myself and sprung it on people in June. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here in September. Everybody needs a long on-ramp. And if you need to ask people if it's cool for you to take an extended break, then I think the longer lead time you can give everybody, the more comfortable with the ability to plan around it everybody's going to have. It lets people prepare, but it also let me prepare financially, for example, right? I make my living doing billable work with my clients. So I didn't do no billable work for my clients in September, which meant I didn't have any income in September. So part of my planning, and I cooked this up last fall, and then starting in January, I really was very careful with my budget so that I knew that I would not have any income at all in the month of September. And I figured my budget out for the year so that was okay. I could get through September without feeling like the wolf was at the door and I wasn't going to be able to meet my financial responsibilities. I used the early part of 2022 to kind of sock a little money away, a little more than I usually do, to make sure that I could manage my expenses in September when nobody's writing me a check for anything. Finally, don't, even if you take a week off, if you can take a week and a half off, if you can plan a long weekend, truly like 5 days. 2 of them are weekend days. And, we've got Indigenous Peoples Day coming up on Monday. So many of us are looking at a long weekend. Don't stuff your time off with a billion other obligations. We all do it. We're like, I'm taking a week off, and that means I can go to the dentist and get my car serviced and, do all these things that I normally have no time for. The beauty of unscheduled time is in the last part of that sentence, the unscheduled part. From a practical perspective, did I get some of that stuff done while I was away? Absolutely, I did. But it wasn't all I did. I did a lot of other spur of the moment kind of things. I'm going to go take a hike. I'm going to go to the used bookstore and then go take a walk on the beach and sit in the sun and read. Creative brain stuff that is going to make me a better partner, a better worker, and just a better human. You can only run on fumes so long before the car sputters to a halt and you're pushing it down the street or calling AAA or somebody to come and rescue you. We are all, in my observation and opinion, perilously close to being on fumes all the time right now. Living in the world that we're living in, working in the industry that we're working in, everything feels urgent. And so for you to be able to have unscheduled time is essential. And it's not only that, it's good for you and your coworkers and the people that you serve inside and around your organization and your community. It was a little weird not to be driven by meetings, for the first time in a very long time. But after a few days, I felt incredibly free. And we all deserve to have that incredible freedom. I can tell you that I'm not going to do it in 2023. I think that would be a little much. But the work-life balance stuff I'm going to work on, the keeping my brain creative, recognizing when there's no room for me and the things that are important to me in my calendar. I've got to start paying attention to that and making different decisions about it. We're just about getting ready for those of us who are fundraising folks. We're moving into the busiest time of the year, plus holiday obligations, plus lots of people in and out of the office, plus your next fiscal year's plans or whatever else you're trying to make happen in this last quarter of the year. I'm just going to tell you that taking some time, unscheduled, unstructured time off that's planned is the best gift that you can give yourself. And it's going to keep on giving to the other people around you. So I hope this was helpful. If you've ever taken a sabbatical or an extended period of time off that you didn't have super structured ideas with what you were going to do with that time off, I would love to hear about it. If you are feeling like, I would love to ask for that, I would love to plan that, and I don't know how to actually phrase that. How do I present that in a way that I get the green light from my boss or my leadership team or my board? Then I would love to hear from you, because coming right off this, it worked really well for me, the method that I used to plan it and execute it. And I'd love to be of service to you. Here I go, giving my time away. But you can always email me at Maureen@meetmaureen.com if you've got any questions about the sabbatical stuff, or if you're starting to see your own mental check engine light flash. And then what we'll do starting next week is get back into the technology, get back into the ways that you can make smart decisions and use the systems you have in place in a way that helps you meet your mission more easily. So I'll have lots of special guests as we roll through the rest of the year. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. I missed you, sort of. It was really good to be away. And thanks so much for your interest. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday, a great weekend. If your organization does celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday, it would be awesome if you could just chill out. So with that, I'll let you all go, and I will see you right here, same time, same place next Friday. Thanks so much, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.